There we go.
Yeah, so unfortunately, that's kind of the way it is with child predators. They don't stop until
No.
they're dead. I mean, I hate to say it.
No, and then I was trying to, I watched her story, and then me and her have been talking, and the similarities, and they're all different stories, but they're similarities, just like how he gave her a note that had her initials on it. He cut out a piece of jersey from Haleyville that had my initials if I was to marry him. So it would have been A and D. And I had that forever. And I asked my aunt while I was here, and she was like, no, we got rid of all that. And I was like,
Yeah.
we did get rid of all of that. And then he had wrote me multiple notes, just telling stories about how we were gonna be together after I graduated and all the weird things. You know, I look back at it now and I'm just like, why was that okay? It wasn't okay, but why did I feel like that was okay?
Because of how young you were, probably.
Yeah.
So let's start. What's your name?
My name is Ada Woody.
And you say that again?
Ada Woody.
I thought I had you in my phone as Nikki. You go by Nikki?
My original name is Ada Nicole Saki, but I always grew up by Nikki. So do you want to go by that?
Okay. No, I'll go by whatever you want to go by. I just was.
Yeah.
I just heard a different name, and
Yeah,
I'm like, wait a
Ada
minute.
Woody, or my maiden name was Saki, and people called me Nikki. It was short for Nicole.
And we were talking earlier. You said you went to Haleyville when?
I went to Haleyville when at the middle of my 9th grade year.
Well, what was it like going to Haleyville?
Oh, it was a culture shock for sure. I went to McAllister schools, and then I switched over because I moved to High Hill, and then it was just small and country, and that wasn't something I was used to.
So what was it like in Haleyville as like a high school student when you first got there, and explain to the one part with a problem with parks. Explain to the audience kind of like what it was like being there and going to school there.
Going to Haleyville, like I said, it was a culture shock, and because it was just small and everyone knew everyone. And being from McAllister, you had like your groups and stuff, and then it was just so big. But going there was differently, and I felt like out of place. So I just stuck to my one little friend that I met, and I mean, then I began to love it as I got more comfortable there. And then of course, joined the basketball team, and that's when I met Coach Deleplank.
Yeah, so tell us about that. When did you join the basketball team?
My 10th grade year.
And tell us about that. How did your relationship with as between teacher and or coach and student, how did that start?
How it started, it was just like a normal coach at first. I was on the girls team and he was the basketball coach there, and I didn't have much interaction until he started helping with the girls basketball team. And then once I joined the cheerleading team, then that's when I started interacting with him a lot more because he was a football coach as well. And it started just by like little conversations here and there, like good job or whatever. And then he became my English teacher because something happened to one of our English teachers. And he started like getting closer and closer to me, just asking about personal things. He had asked if everything at home was okay, and at that time my dad had went to prison and I didn't know how long he would be there, and that was bothering me. And so I thought about not joining the cheerleading team for that reason, because I just had so much, and he was like, no, you should do it, you would be great at it, and then you can see me every day. And at that time I was just like, oh yeah, that's right, I can. And then once I started the cheerleading team, and then then summer came around, and so then I was going into my that would have been my junior year. I started working for a summer youth program through the Choctaw Nation, and then he started texting me more, like, hey, I'll be at the school, I heard you're working here, and was still at that time, I was just not thinking anything of it other than just a coach, just, reaching out. And then when he started texting me more and more, like, I'm here, how about you meet me down in the boys' locker room? And I said, why the boys' locker room? And he was like, oh, because my office is down here. Didn't think nothing of it, of course. And I went down there, and then that was the first time he ever kissed me. And I pulled away and thinking, like, I know this is wrong. I know this is wrong, but why does it feel okay? Because I felt like when he had talked to me about personal things, he cared. And I didn't have that. I never had that. And so I didn't think nothing of it. And then it just kept proceeding and proceeding until, like, it felt okay. And then he would always text me when he didn't want no one else to text, or to know that we were texting, and it was the code word Subway, because there's a Subway in Hartshorn, and he lived down the road. And he had asked me a couple times to come to his house, but that intuition was just like, no, that's not okay. But yet I still kept on with the texting with him. And then one time when that gut feeling kicked in and was just like, this is wrong. Something's wrong. This isn't okay. This is not what's supposed to happen between a coach and a student. And I told him I wasn't going to talk to him anymore. And he told me that if I wanted to continue on the basketball team or continue to be a cheerleader, I would do what he said. And of course, I was too scared to tell anyone. I was like, okay, fine. You get what you want. And then he ignored me for a little bit at school, and I didn't think nothing. I was just like, okay, finally. And then one day he texted me Subway. And I was like, what? And he was like, meet me down in the locker room. And I tried to tell my friend, I was like, I don't want to go, but we're just young. And she was like, oh, just go see what he wants. Go see what he wants. And when I went down there, that was the first time he ever made me expose myself to him. And I wanted to cry, and then he hugged me and said it was okay. But he wouldn't make me do that again. But I was a good girl, and that was okay. And so I left, and it bothered me the rest of the day. And my cheer coach, she came to me and asked me if I was okay, and I kind of, I guess, projected everything onto her because I had heard that they had a relationship going. And I just told her it was her fault, and she didn't understand because I didn't elaborate any more on it. But I told her it was her fault, and are you happy I'm on the team now? And she didn't press anymore, but I think she knew something was off. And so, of course, there was another time he made me do the same thing, and I had questioned him, and I said, you told me you would never make me do that again. And he lied. And, of course, hugged me again and said that it was going to be all okay, and that when I graduated, we were going to be together, and that he loved me, and he knew that he loved me. And then that's when he cut the piece of an old jersey that was down in the locker room. I guess it was a football jersey. And someone's name on it, I want to say it was Copeland. Because there was the football captain, Joshua Copeland. And he said he doesn't need it anymore, and he cut the A and D out of it. And he gave it to me. And I kept that for years, and I don't have it anymore, and I let it go. But it was the A and D was the initials for Ada Nicole Deleplank. And he told me to keep that. And then this is junior year now, and then he had come to me, and he had said that he needed to talk to me, and we met in the hallway. and he grabbed me and he said, "This will be the last time." And I didn't know what that meant. And he kissed my forehead and he said goodbye. And rumors were starting to go around that it was me. And so that's where I was thinking that, okay, he either had to resign because suspicions grew, or something else. He wasn't clear with it. And then, of course, rumors were going around saying that it was all my fault that he had to leave. And I walked around feeling like I had a freaking scarlet letter on me. And one other teacher that was there, and I can't remember what she did at the school. She was just kind of like assistant, kind of just floated around, was kind of angry at me. And that's when I really felt like it was my fault that he had left. And then after he had left, I never heard from him again until I think it was 2022. He had reached out and he had messaged me and said, I hope you don't hate me now. And I never replied. And then now I can't find, the messages are on Facebook, but at that time, as a young 15-year-old girl when it started, I strived for, I guess, that male attention because my dad, and it's like he used that against me. And it haunted me for years because I really opened up and I believed him. Why? It's stupid, I don't know. But I truly believe that he cared about me. And now I'm a mother of 3 and I have 2 girls. It's sickening, and I don't want my little girls to go through that.
What do you hope comes from all of this?
I hope he stops, because it's not a game to play with these little girls to make them feel wanted or loved in their most vulnerable states, because that's how he made me feel. I didn't have a good home. My dad was gone to prison and he knew that. And so he just made me feel like, in a weird way, a dad and someone who cared, but did these awful things and made me do these awful things. So I just pray that my story and everyone else's story gets the sickness gone. He's sick.
When this all happened and I'm sorry to ask this, I know you talked about he made you expose yourself. Did the relationship ever get sexual, or where did it stop?
Just exposing and kissing, and he would put his hands in my pants and touch, but it was never like intercourse or anything like that. And I'm thankful for that, but at the same time, it's still not okay.
It's awful. It's awful.
It's awful.
It's awful. It's. I mean,
It's embarrassing.
Let's talk about that. Why? And I understand, but explain to people like what you mean by that is embarrassing.
It's embarrassing because for me now, I mean, it's embarrassing now looking back, but I felt embarrassed at that time too, because I felt like someone had control over me, and if I didn't do what they wanted to do, I couldn't do certain things. And then I felt like the school knew. Someone had to have known, because why would he just automatically have to resign? He was a great coach, he was a great teacher. So what? Was it the other teacher that he had a relationship, or was there other girls involved too? And
did you hear any rumors or anything about any of that? What year did this happen?
It would have had to been, I graduated in 2011, so it was like late 2009, 2010,
Okay.
2010.
So did you hear? I mean, and I'm tracking his employment, because it's after he left Haleyville, he took a couple of years off. From my understanding. So something from talking to Bobby, I don't know if it was just your allegation or if there was multiple girls or what the situation was, but yes, my understanding was he was involved with the cheer coach. at Haleyville, and that when he left there, he had to take a couple years off because like he had to let it all cool down.
Right.
What all he had done. So
I
what was that? Walk us through like what was that like? Like he comes up and so let's talk more about that last conversation. Like what was that like? What and then
it was like it was frantic, like he was worried, like he was just like, I don't know what's going to happen kind of thing, because he had met me in the hallway, like here was the cafeteria, and he met me in the hallway, and then you can go outside or you can go up through the elementary. I was coming down through the elementary and he was coming in through the door, and he was just kind of like, he grabbed me and then he kissed me on the forehead and he's like, I just gotta go, and this ends now, and was just like frantic. And that's what I remember. And we switched positions, like I went out the door and then he went up through the elementary, and I was just like kind of lost and confused. I was like, what is going on? And so as I went back in, I just went to class, didn't think nothing of it, and by the end of the class he was already gone. So and then he wasn't answering, so I had no explanation of what happened.
did anybody from the school talk to you at all about anything?
Nobody from the school talked to me. Nobody. So that's why I was like, was it because of the rumors or accusations? Was it from me? But it was more of students saying stuff. And that's where I felt embarrassed and felt like I had a scarlet letter, is because it was like students knew. And it could be just, my guilty mind maybe in that time was like, oh my gosh, they know. But the football players and stuff always said, way to go, Sicky Naki, and that was the nickname he had gave me. It was the 2 letters of my name switched. And, even I ran into an old classmate a couple years ago, and he was like, so what happened to you and Mr. Deleplank? Just like, and that was embarrassing in that moment. Even years later, I was just like, what are you talking about? And was still in denial of everything that happened, until this last year when I was working on myself, and I was writing a resentment list, and his name was on it in bold. And I was like, it's time to share. And it was like 2 weeks later, Bobby reached out to me, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is a sign. And I told her everything about that, and it is time. It is time to put a stop to him, because if there's more and more, like that time in school, I don't even know if there was more girls involved. And then I find out, or hear through the grapevine, a couple years ago, he had gotten a relationship with a student that was younger than me, that was at the school at the same time we were.
At Haleyville?
And so it was like, and my personal opinion, it's like, I just don't even think that teachers should have relationships with older students. Like if you taught at the school, whether you are of age now, I just don't think that that's okay. But anyways, that's beside the point. So it's like, I don't even really know exactly what happened. The school had to have known something, but nobody came to me, and nobody asked me or pulled me aside and questioned me or nothing.
Did you ever tell anybody your story to where maybe they did something and you just weren't involved in it?
No, I never. The only person that knew about Mr. Deleplank and I was my best friend, and she had her moments of like, this is not okay, but then she just never really, I guess, fought against me or the fact that it was going on.
And how old were you when it started?
15.
And what, you said he became your English teacher.
Yes.
While you were in his English class, did he by chance do anything with like where you sat? Like where'd you sit?
Right next to him.
Like explain that to me.
So he would teach at the podium, and I would be in the front, right next to him. And I always got the good grade, of course. And then when I wasn't in his class, he would come and pull me out of other people's classes. So that's where my confusion set in, was like, how do other teachers, or how did the school board not notice this? Because it was obvious.
Yeah.
And even on the football trips, me and him were the first ones back to the bus. How did the coaches not see this?
What do you want? Obviously, justice for you and the other victims. What do you think a school could do to help prevent this kind of thing in the future? I mean, obviously, they need to report this kind of stuff, investigate it, and prosecute it. But
absolutely, and if I know from me that I live with regret of not speaking up and telling someone, because my intuition, I knew it was wrong, but I was just a little girl. If anyone speaks up, take it seriously and then investigate it. But the obviousness of our relationship, someone should have caught on to that, and someone should have done something. And then if it was other accusations that caused him to be, or leave, and why? Don't let him teach again. And if you're going to hire another teacher who had to resign, look into that, because he has a pattern. He went from, I think, LaFleur to Poto to all these others.
Before he got to you.
Yeah.
How does that make you feel, knowing what you know now, that before you there were other victims?
It makes me sick to my stomach. And to think that he met Bobby before me, and then would antagonize me with her. But I didn't know her age at that time. He had always told me she was 29, I think he would tell me. And then I met her at a football game. And then to learn that he made her tell everyone that she was a certain age. I don't remember the age, and it's not a game. He would use her to get to me, or get to me to the coach, or the coach at me. He has a sick game that he does. And how no one caught on to that it's crazy to me.
Do you remember that coach's name?
Carol Johnson was the cheer coach.
You know if she's still there?
I don't know that she's still at Haley.
Okay. Well, teaching licenses are public, so I'm gonna go have a conversation with Carol Johnson, just so you know. Who else, Nikki? Who else should I go seeking out to have conversations with? Who else were big involved that should have realized what Bill was doing?
Unfortunately, the main person that I would say he was a superintendent at the time I was in school. Jim Callhorn, he was a superintendent.
Is dead.
He's dead.
Yeah.
And them two were just always laughing and carrying on. They knew each other from previous times, and then it was funny to find out after Deleplank left, he gets in trouble for embezzlement or whatever. But they always knew each other, and they were always texting, because when I would sit next to Deleplank, they were texting. So if anyone knew, it was him, and unfortunately he's gone now. But Roger Hemphill was my principal at the time, and I feel deeply in my heart that if he would have known anything, he would have said something, or he would have came to me. But I don't think Roger and Jim got along very well, so they kind of kept their distance. That's my opinion from being a student. Mr. Hemphill he's amazing. So, but
what do you think about teachers texting students?
I think it's disgusting, and it shouldn't happen.
Can you give me a line that says teachers texting students is disgusting, it shouldn't happen? That way I don't have to, that way my question doesn't have to be in there.
I think teachers texting students is disgusting, and it shouldn't happen.
What, in the future, what do you think should happen if a school receives a report that a teacher has been accused of doing something with a student? What do you think should happen?
They should immediately go on leave, and they should be investigated thoroughly to find out, because apparently this teacher had a history of it. And how does none of these schools see that?
Couldn't a school like Haleyville just find nothing wrong and let him resign quietly? How do we stop that, do you think? What about some requirement that said that if there's a report of abuse by a teacher, it has to be reported to the state? And that way anybody that's trying to hire that teacher can get a report of previous abuse allegations.
Absolutely.
So let's talk to me about that. I need you to not have my question. I know I just gave you that idea.
No,
so,
that's
so
amazing.
One of the things that we're going to be pushing, and I've been calling it Bobby's Law because it's just been Bobby so far. I hadn't met you. but is for some legislation that would require exactly what I just said. Require schools to report that to the central state, along with a finding of whether or not they, confirmed, no findings of allegation, whatever the findings were, and that those would be available to schools trying to hire teachers before they go hire them to see if there's any, history of abuse allegations.
Okay, hold on. Just maybe. And you can fix all that, right? Okay. Ooh.
I mean, do you think that would be a good idea?
Absolutely, I do believe that's a good idea.
I'm trying to figure out how to look. As you said earlier, the goal is to stop this. So,
absolutely.
How do we stop it? Right? How do we stop this from happening in the future?
Yeah, the teachers, if there's any indication of abuse that's been reported, but previously, that it gets reported to higher ups, to the state, to anybody, because it's happening too often. You see teachers getting fired or let go left and right for having relationships with these children, and it just needs to stop. And then with this specific teacher, he went through schools and schools and schools, and nobody said anything and nobody did anything. There should have been something, and it should, if any inkling, it should get reported so it can stop. I don't know what else.
How has, at the end of the day, how has this changed you?
As I said, I moved to California. I've had 3 children. I was married for 10 years, but I've had a lot of trauma, not just from this incident. I had, before. It has haunted me, and I became a terrible alcoholic. I'm not ashamed to admit it. I get emotional thinking about it because of how far I've come. But I didn't know how to talk about things. I didn't want to talk about it because, one, I was shameful and embarrassed, and so I held everything in, and I was a terrible, terrible alcoholic. That is the truth, and that is why I moved to California, was to get better and face everything. So when Bobby reached out to me and I was writing my resentment list, it's because I'm in a program called Alcoholics Anonymous, and I'm working the 12 steps, and I told her, and I was looking at the paper when she was talking to me, and Billy Deleplank was highlighted in just bold, just dark, and he was number 2 on my list. Because I've held on to that for years. And I really don't even know why I held on to it. Was, like I said, I felt regret for not opening up. I felt shame of why I trusted another human being. And
Do you understand now that you were just a child and that he was predating on you because you were vulnerable? Has that clicked?
It has, and that's why I'm ready to let go of that resentment, and why I started speaking up about what happened, because it's not my fault. And I was married for 10 years, and it caused trust issues in my marriage. And I'm not going to blame it all on him of my alcohol, but it was the trauma, the pain that I felt that I couldn't let go of. And I had a hard time trusting people, and so it caused a lot of, just, the word I would like to use is agony. Because every time I would drink, those thoughts, those words, and it may seem crazy, but it's not. It affected me all the way until now. And why I'm emotional is because it's like, I can release it now. I don't have to hold on to that anymore. And I don't want any other girl to think that it's okay and to hold on to that, because it's not.
What should they do?
As hard as it is, tell someone. I wish I would have told someone. Not that it would have changed anything then, but It might have. And I hope that any girl that's gone through it can get the strength to tell someone and put an end to it, because it's not all right. It's not.
Do you think Bobby Deleplank should be in prison?
Bobby Deleplank?
Oh, not Bobby. Gosh darn it, I'm sorry.
No.
No.
No. The answer to that would be no. No.
I was
Bobby
like,
Deleplank should not be in
Bobby?
prison. No. Bill.
Do I think he should be in prison?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So how about a line like Bill Deleplank belongs in prison?
Bill Deleplank belongs in prison.
I was however years old when I met him.
Yeah, can you give me how I was however years old when I met Bill Deleplank? Or Coach Deleplank, or however you refer to him?
It was Coach Deleplank, yeah. I was 15 years old when I met Coach Deleplank.
That's yeah. So what is there any? I don't want to miss anything. Your story is compelling as hell. I've had to keep myself from crying over here.
Well, I'm sorry.
No, you don't apologize to me. I'm a father of an 11-year-old, and I just want you to know that as a father of an 11-year-old, I would murder somebody that put their hands on my child like that. I would literally kill them. Like, he would be dead.
Absolutely.
I can't go kill Bill because y'all aren't mine.
Right.
I have a rule. They'd be mine for them to die. But I'd like to see him in prison. And so what I want to make sure that I haven't missed anything to tell your story. Obviously, there's far more to you than what we've talked about, but is there something that we've missed, something that we need to talk about? Is there something else that happened that we've not gone over? Was there ever any, like, he wrote notes between him and Bobby, like they passed notes? Did y'all ever do anything like that?
Yes. He would write me notes in English class, and he would hand them to me as like graded papers, and he would put his initials and then A and D. That was always the thing, A and D. And he would it was more of texting, but he did write the letters, and then, like I said, he had cut the old jersey and gave that to me and told me to keep that forever, because after I graduated, that we were going to have a life together. And
what about poems? Did you ever write you any poems?
he always read poems to me. I never got a poem written, but he had always read poems. And then he told me to listen to songs quite a bit. One of the songs that still, if I hear it today, I'm like, ugh, is Fade Into You by Maisie Starr. That was one of his songs that he would always tell me to listen to, and he sent it to me and reminded me, actually in a text message, was, oh, did you listen to this song? And it was Fade Into You by Maisie Starr.
Was there any lyrics you think that were relevant in that?
I want to hold the hand inside of you. At the time I didn't really understand the lyrics, and I haven't listened to it for so long, but even as a 15-year-old girl, I was like, oh, that's kind of ick. Like, why would he send that to me?
He was how old at this point?
Ooh. I want to believe he was in his 30s. It's been so long, I can't remember, but he was, in his 30s.
It's insane. What's your next steps? I mean, you said you're in 12 steps. What are your next steps on this road towards recovery?
Is letting go of things that have haunted me, and that's what I plan to do with this. And I just kept telling Bobby, it's time. It's time to put it into his sick games. And I never wanted to believe that what happened to me would follow me, but it did. And why I would write his name in bold after all these years. So I'm ready to let go of it.
We talked a little bit about whether or not you'd file a police report. McAllister's in the same county as Haleyville, right? Are they the same counties?
I think it's Pittsburgh
Pittsburgh County, I think, right?
I think so.
Have you given any thought to filing a police report with the Pittsburgh County Sheriff's Department?
I haven't because I wasn't for sure of the statute of limitations kind of thing.
And I can't give you a specific answer on that.
Yeah.
It seems to me that it's still open because in Oklahoma we extended it to essentially, I think it's 30 years past age of maturity.
Wow.
So I think you're well with Bobby's still within her time,
Okay.
and so I think you're still within your time.
Yes.
Is that something that you would want to do, or do you think this is enough, or what?
I think for me personally, just telling my story because I don't actually kept on to those things, and I don't know if my word would be, in the like a police report or anything, like the evidence or anything. But for me,
What if all of you girls could testify in one combined trial together and
I
all
would
tell your story?
absolutely be willing to testify in a trial.
So Oklahoma, they can the predilection behavior, like the prior behavior consistent with a criminal activity is all admissible in the same trial. So in other words, I think that all you girls could get a trial together, and essentially he would. So if that's something that you're interested in, if you wrote out what happened, if you could write out what happened, then I would be willing to come back down here and go with you to the Pittsburgh County Sheriff's Department and film you filing the report tomorrow.
Oh, absolutely. Okay.
If you wanted to do that.
I will look at my schedule and
Just think about it. I can come back down here and we could.
Yeah.
I don't have to. But if you filed a police report, it would go. They could do a multi-county grand jury. That's what I'm going to be pushing for them to do a grand jury on this guy and charge him. So my steps after. So what we're going to do is we're going to release your and Bobby's stories,
okay.
along with my interaction with Bill. And I had an interaction a year before. And you want to talk about regret? I met Bill a year ago.
Really?
I met Bill a year ago because I went to Pecoshi High School because there was somebody told me that the police chief of Pecoshi, the city, was putting a school resource officer in the school, and the police chief of Pecoshi is a rapist. And so I went to Pecoshi High School and met Bill and said, "Hey, you're getting a school resource officer from the chief of Pecoshi. Well, he rapes women, so maybe we shouldn't put a rapist hired woman or hired officer in a school with kids." And so ended up getting the chief of Pecoshi fired. So that never happened. But I met Bill that day. That's why he mentions that he met me in that video a year before.
Okay.
Little did I know that when I'm going to talk to him about men doing bad things with kids, that I'm literally, that's why he remembered me. That's why he remembered me, because he goes, "Oh God, I don't ever want to see that guy show up again." And it was a freaking year later, I'm there to investigate him.
And he's got everyone. Thankfully, he doesn't have you fooled, but he has that charming way about him that he could probably talk his way out of anything. But now that's not going to work now.
No.
And that's what I want to say to all the other victims of him is speak up. Because if just telling our story is going to put an end to him, then that's what we need to do. Or not, because he's going to continue down his little routine of manipulating and all the things that he does.
Yeah. He's obviously good at it.
He's very good at it.
Yeah.
And there was a part of me that didn't even want to tell my story because I remembered the sweet things that he would say. And I had to just what are you doing? This man manipulated you. Why, after all these years that you held on to something, you're still going to think about his feelings?
Yeah.
Because that's how good he is.
You think he picked you out specifically because of the dad issues? Does that thought go through your head?
That has crossed my mind numerous times. He preyed on me. I was vulnerable. I needed someone. And he saw right through that.
Yeah.
And I beat myself up for years. How dumb were you? But it wasn't me.
Yeah. Let's end on a happy note. What's it like out in California? What's going on out there? You're in recovery.
Yes.
How's it all going?
I just celebrated my 1 year of total sobriety.
Congratulations.
Thank you. California is amazing. Oh my gosh. Bright sunny skies every day. And I'm very what is that? When it's rainy, I want to cry and cuddle up with a book. If it's sunshine, I want to be out and be happy and stuff. So I love LA for that reason. It's always sunshine. So
You don't get that. Lee and I get the seasonal affective disorder here.
yes, that's what I was. The seasonal.
Winter sucks.
Yes.
We hate winter here because
Yes.
we're from South Mississippi. So like I did not grow like this winter gloom all the time.
Yeah.
It's like no.
And then like I am so sticky right now because this is humidity. Oh.
Yeah, no, well, and after the rain too. But
Yeah.
I'm sorry I picked the park. We did the
It's-
library with Bobby, and I'm just like, I
A
wanted to
different
keep that theme. And yeah, and then the
Yeah.
outside, like we complained last time, we were like, it would have been better outside. So I think this is going to
Lighting's
be.
a lot better.
You
lighting is
guys
good.
did perfect because I'm an outdoorsy person. Because I was like, oh, in a library, I'm gonna really feel like I'm being interrogated, kind
Yeah,
of thing.
yeah.
So
I
I
get it.
may have.
And I'm sorry again. I know it's weird talking to me. It's like hard making a connection when
It
you're
is.
talking to me through a machine. But again, I don't want to be that reporter that stands on the side. I think it's the eyes are the most engaging part of a human being and the
Absolutely.
pathway to the soul, as some writers have written. And it's like I don't want your eyes looking at me when they could be looking at the people who are going to watch the story.
Absolutely.
So, I think that's all I got. Is there think about what you wanted if you wanted to do something with filing reports.
Okay.
I can look up the statute and I'll tell you for sure whether or not you. I don't want you to waste your time. If your
Right.
statute's dead, you don't have any.
That
chance
was
to-
kind of my
I'll
thought.
look it up tonight
Okay.
and make 100% sure. I know where the statute's at. I just need to go. I didn't read it. If he'd had sex with you, I'd be 100%.
Yes. Right.
It's a question of whether or not the touching and the fingers, I think, still probably fall under that.
Yeah.
I think it does, but
'Cause-
there's a different. But there's that's rape by instrumentation
Right.
versus rape. And I just
Right.
need to make sure that rape by instrumentation is not carved out some way from
It-
that.